We wanted to just welcome you to this exciting event. We're excited to embark on a year-long community of practice with you. I want to recognize all of the leaders who have been integral in putting this opportunity together. So first of all, our CEC Executive Board, will you please stand? All right, we have, everybody wave. Okay, make sure you see everyone. These people will be very helpful to you as you go out through the day, as well as you'll be interacting with them throughout the entire year. So make sure you make a connection with these folks because they will definitely be a great support system for you. Also, our Indiana IEP Resource Center from the Indiana Department of Education, will you please stand or wave? Okay, there's one back there and out here. Right, so they are the reason we are here today. Luckily, we had some folks on our executive board who suggested that we create this new Educator Institute. Virginia is the only other state that has done this work, and so we're the second state in the nation to get this started. Luckily, Dr. McCormick is very supportive of special educators, and so she is covering your membership for this first year, and we'll take care of that. You'll get that information soon, along with a copy of the book that is on your table, and so look for that as it comes, hopefully in the next few weeks, within the next month. All right, so today, I am so excited. We have 3 internationally renowned speakers and researchers, educators, to introduce you to 3 critical topics in the world of special education. First of all, Susan Hentz will be sharing strategies with highly engaged, inclusive classrooms. Dr. Terrence Scott will share on high probability practices using adult behavior to affect student success. And finally, Dr. David Bateman on the very important special education law. So let's get this party started with one of the very best educators, definitely a mentor of mine, the champion to all students, Miss Rita Pearson.
I have spent my entire life either at the schoolhouse, on the way to the schoolhouse, or talking about what happens in the schoolhouse. Both my parents were educators. My maternal grandparents were educators. And for the past 40 years, I've done the same thing. And so needless to say, over those years, I've had a chance to look at education reform from a lot of perspectives. Some of those reforms have been good, some of them have been not so good. And we know why kids drop out. We know why kids don't learn. It's either poverty, low attendance, negative peer influences. We know why. But one of the things that we never discuss, or we rarely discuss, is the value and importance of human connection. Relationships. James Comer says that no significant learning can occur without a significant relationship. George Washington Carver says all learning is understanding relationships. Everyone in this room has been affected by a teacher or an adult. For years, I have watched people teach. I have looked at the best and I've looked at some of the worst. A colleague said to me one time, they don't pay me to like the kids. They pay me to teach a lesson. The kids should learn it. I should teach it. They should learn it. Case closed. Well, I said to her, you know, kids don't learn from people they don't like. She said, that's just a bunch of hooey. And I said to her, well, your year is going to be long and arduous, dear. Needless to say, it was. Some people think that you can either have it in you to build a relationship or you don't. I think Stephen Covey had the right idea. He said you ought to just throw in a few simple things, like seeking first to understand as opposed to being understood. Simple things like apologizing. You ever thought about that? Tell a kid you're sorry, they're in shock. I taught a lesson once on ratios. I'm not real good with math, but I was working on it. And I got back and looked at that teacher edition. I taught the whole lesson wrong. So I came back to class the next day and I said, look, guys, I need to apologize. I taught the whole lesson wrong. I'm so sorry. I said, that's okay, Miss Pearson. You were so excited. We just let you go. I have had classes that were so low, so academically deficient that I cried. I wondered, how am I going to take this group in 9 months from where they are to where they need to be? And it was difficult. It was awfully hard. How do I raise the self-esteem of a child and his academic achievement at the same time? One year I came up with a bright idea. I told all my students, you were chosen to be in my class because I am the best teacher and you are the best students. They put us all together so we could show everybody else how to do it. One of the students said, really? I said, really? We have to show the other classes how to do it. So when we walk down the hall, people will notice us. So you can't make noise. You just have to strut. And I gave him a saying to say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came. I'll be a better somebody when I leave. I am powerful and I am strong. I deserve the education that I get here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places to go. And they said, yeah. You say it long enough, it starts to be a part of you. And so, I gave a quiz, 20 questions. Student missed 18. I put a +2 on this paper and a big smiley face. He said, Miss Pearson, is this an F? I said, yes. He said, then why'd you put a smiley face? I said, because you on the roll. You got 2 right, you didn't miss them all. I said, and when we review this, won't you do better? He said, yes, ma'am, I can do better. You see, -18 sucks all the life out of you. +2 said, I ain't all bad. For years, I watched my mother take the time at recess to review, go on home visits in the afternoon, buy combs and brushes and peanut butter and crackers to put in her desk drawer for kids that needed to eat, and a washcloth and some soap for the kids who didn't smell so good. See, it's hard to teach kids who stink. And kids can be cruel. And so she kept those things in her desk, and years later, after she retired, I watched some of those same kids come through and say to her, you know, Miss Walker, you made a difference in my life. You made it work for me. You made me feel like I was somebody when I knew at the bottom I wasn't. And I want you to just see what I've become. And when my mama died 2 years ago at 92, there were so many former students at her funeral. It brought tears to my eyes, not because she was gone, but because she left a legacy of relationships that could never disappear. Can we stand to have more relationships? Absolutely. Will you like all your children? Of course not. And you know your toughest kids are never absent. Never. You won't like them all, and the tough ones show up for a reason. It's the connection, it's the relationships. And while you won't like them all, the key is they can never, ever know it. So teachers become great actors and great actresses, and we come to work when we don't feel like it, and we listen to policy that doesn't make sense, and we teach anyway. We teach anyway because that's what we do. Teaching and learning should bring joy. How powerful would our world be if we had kids who were not afraid to take risks, who were not afraid to think, and who had a champion? Every child deserves a champion, an adult who will never give up on them, who understands the power of connection and insists that they become the best that they can possibly be. Is this job tough? You betcha. Oh God, you betcha. But it is not impossible. We can do this. We're educators. We're born to make a difference. Thank you so much.
All right, so hopefully you were as inspired by Miss Pearson as I have been throughout my educational career. She knows how to treat kids. She knows how to treat humans. And so I think that's something that I really hope you take away from today, is that you do make a difference, that your decisions change the trajectory of a scholar's life, and that's so important. So I want you to think about these two questions. Why did you make special education your career? And what prompted you to begin this journey? And I'm going to have you do a shoulder partner talk, if you would, and just for 1 to 2 minutes, have that conversation with someone at your table, please. Okay, I'm going to bring you back together. You are going to be able to connect with folks throughout the day, so hopefully you found a friend. I want you to, and I pulled this quote out of your book that you'll be receiving, but this is such an important piece to remember, is that your passion is an important driving force that will help you get through the first year and empower you into the future. Most of us went into this profession because of our love and passion for helping others, for being fixers, for being those people that go beyond, even when you're tired, even when you're hungry, all of those things. We talk about leading because people are curious. You'll have followers, those scholars that follow you because they're curious about what you're going to do next. I have done the teaching the ratios incorrectly and had that same response to my kids where I had to apologize, and they said, "You know what, Dr. Rinehart, you were having so much fun, we just let you go." Do that. It doesn't hurt anyone, and you'll figure it out along the way. You will make many missteps, but they are never going to be an area you can't come back to and learn from each other from all around the state and learn those things that maybe you can do better. All right, so next we're going to talk about the entire journey this year. You will develop an inquiry question as you're thinking through and sitting through sessions over this day. So an inquiry question should be arguable, complex, specific in language, and clear and concise. So first of all, you need to identify what interests you about the topic, and then attempt to put that topic in a question. So if you are in Dr. Bateman's special education law, what about that is so inquiring to your brain that makes you want to focus on that piece? Okay, if it's not that, maybe it's Susan Hentz and the effective design for instruction. And that's where you want to put your focus on this year. So you'll need to decide as you're sitting through the sessions today, which thing really makes me curious? Which really jumps out at me? And then we'll create a question around that. So then, step 2, you're going to conduct some preliminary research. So you'll get lots of resources today. You will leave here with probably days of work you can do if you're interested. So you'll start doing some of that work. You'll look at the resources they gave you, and it's probably going to take you down an inquiry question. From there, then you'll look to create your inquiry question. So Google Classroom. Google Classroom is something that we're going to utilize as our platform for connecting with each other. So if you haven't used Google Classroom, it's okay. We'll have steps on how to do that. You'll get this presentation so that you can follow it step by step on how to set up a Google Classroom. So you'll go in, you'll find Google Classroom, you'll go to the classroom, you'll sign in. If you don't have a Google account or your district isn't a Google district, that's okay. You can set up just a basic Gmail, it's free. And that's what we'll use to kind of be our hub of resources, as well as information that you'll be getting from our different groups between Indiana CEC and Indiana IEPRC or the Department of Education. All right, so then you will pick your role. You will be a student in this classroom. So typically when you set up a Google Classroom, you're going to all be the teacher. But for us, you'll be the student and we'll be your teachers. You'll click on Get Started and you'll join the class. So in the information, I believe in your folder, you will have the code. If for some reason that does not work, you have our contact information. We'll get that code to you. I've tried it a couple times with a couple different folks and it's worked. So if you have any trouble though, we're happy to troubleshoot. And we'll also be at the registration table over lunch and after the session's all over today, that I can help with any technical questions if you have them. All right, so our classroom is Indiana CEC New Educator Classroom. So that's the classroom you're enrolling in. And in there, I've already posed a few questions for you just to get you started. So if you want to play around with it, feel free to answer that question and we'll get you in. So we also have some other ways that we're going to connect. Virtual webinars are a great way to learn new information as well as ask some really important questions and get answers from your colleagues that are working around the state. So we will use something called Adobe Connect. There's nothing you have to do at this point. As soon as we get our links set up, we'll email those out to you, and then all you'll have to do is click on the link and join the webinar. The dates are October 3rd, November 7th, January 9th, February 6th, and March 5th. They will be from 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern Time. If that does not work for you, no worries, they will be recorded. So you can always jump back into the classroom and watch them on your own time. And then there's Twitter. If you know Wayne Township, which is where I'm the Director of Special Services, my superintendent is one of the superintendents that if you get on Twitter, you'll probably see him. He tweets quite a bit, and for those 10 teachers that are in Wayne, you need to follow him. That will be important. But Twitter 101, so I'm just going to go through, if you've never used Twitter, this will just help you to build your personal learning network. That's just the lovely bird in case you're not sure. So setting up your profile. So this is my profile. Updating your profile is very important. So you all just got new jobs. If you had a Twitter account in college or a previous job or previous career, you want to make sure it's applicable to what you're doing now. If your teacher or your other colleagues or your parents or your students follow you, you want to make sure it's the right information so they can connect. In there, I would also suggest putting a picture or an emoji, whatever you prefer, avatar, whatever you want to, you can be Superman, Superwoman, because again, sometimes it looks like you're a spammer if you do not, and people won't probably respond to you as much as they would if your picture's actually there. All right, so I would say if you have 5 minutes, you have time to tweet. Sometimes you don't have 5 minutes. I totally get it. But there are times that you may be sitting in a meeting or doing something that you think, oh yeah, I need to get on Twitter really quick and shoot this out. It tells your story. So in special education, we talk about some of the bad media we get. We want to tell our own story, which means we need to get some positive press out there. So be sharing all of the amazing things you and your scholars are doing so that that's what's flooding social media, not the negative piece. My 18-year-old was doing a paper on social media and the correlation to suicide rates in Indiana. And unfortunately, the birth of social media and the increase in suicide rates is huge. So we need to, and who gets to do that? We do. Right? We get to change that story. We get to flood social media with all of the positive to outweigh the negative. And I know Dr. Scott's going to talk about positive to negative interactions. It's the same on social media, right? If it's flooded with negative and that's what our scholars see and that's what we see, that's what we start believing. So we want to make sure that we take those 5 minutes to get our positive story out there. So the anatomy of a tweet. If you've never tweeted, you want to make sure that you just keep it short, succinct, get your information out there, include someone, right? So I always include my superintendent. So you should always, Wayne people, you should always include Dr. Butts. Make sure you know who is in your district. Know who your people are, right? Because again, what happens is he has probably millions of followers. If he retweets it, that means all of them see my amazing story about my students with disabilities, and it starts changing perspective. Perspective is reality, so we want to make sure that happens. Again, just continue to include hashtags. If you know there's hashtags that you need to include, we have a district hashtag, you probably do as well, so make sure you include that. And then these are just other examples. So to review, you need your username, you need to tweet, you need to retweet, include a hashtag. If someone responds to you, like really cool person maybe from Wish TV or a politician, respond back. Make sure you reply. Invite them in your classroom, whatever you need to do. So why participate in a Twitter chat? And really, what is a Twitter chat? Because some people do them, some people have never done them. So Twitter chats are an experience to network with each other. So you're going to have Twitter chats that we're going to do. It's about once a month. It's really only 5 that we have scheduled. But Twitter chats are a great way to connect from folks all over. So we could include Dr. Bateman in one of our Twitter chats. And you guys could have access to the real researcher, the guy who knows everything about special ed law, right in your Twitter chat, which is so cool to be able to do. And I have invited authors to Twitter chats before of research books that we're reading, and they jump on. It takes 30 minutes of their time, but they're super excited to be part of that. So that's why we do Twitter chats. So you're going to search the hashtag at the specific time. So for instance, we have a hashtag. It's hashtag capital I-N and then new, capital N-E-W, ed, ED, 19. It's a little long. I know it's going to be hard to memorize, but once you guys start doing it, I want you to, every time you tweet, include that in there, and we'll make sure we retweet you. Okay, so that'll go out to all of Indiana when you're doing those things. We'll be moderating those, so you'll look for questions. The moderator will post question 1 or Q1, and then what's your favorite thing about this school year so far? So you'll just respond. You'll put A1. My scholars have created these amazing experiences and are working in the community. Hashtag IN new ED 19. And then you'll get to learn all of those resources as well and we don't steal, we borrow and use other ideas from all over the state. All right, so here's our dates. We have October 17th, November 21st, January 24th, or 24th, that's a new one, February 20th, March 19th, and those are the same time, 4:30 to 5:30 Eastern Standard Time. So again, our executive board, if you need the names of those folks, they're here. But we also have them on our website, so if you go to cec.sped.org and find Indiana, you can get all of that information there. There are many members here today, so I will make sure that you get to meet all of them. And then the Indiana IEPRC Resource Center, they are a resource center funded through the Indiana Department of Education, and they have amazing resources. If you're trying to learn how to use the Indiana IEP tool to write your IEPs, they have a great web page that you can just go to that. They also come out to you, or you can go see them. Goal writing. If you need work on behavior plans or FBAs, any of that work, they're really a great resource. We utilize them a lot in our district, and I know they serve the entire state. All right, so we are so grateful you're here. We know you have many things you could be doing back in your classrooms and in your districts, but thank you so much for taking time out and spending time to network with your colleagues today. We'll have a wonderful day. There is coffee and tea outside, restrooms in the room. Please have a wonderful day. Thank you.